guys, it's Bassima. Welcome back to my channel. Today is video number 2 in the top productivity lessons that my clients have taught me. If you're new here, I'm a productivity coach that helps people become happier, less stressed, and overwhelmed while working towards the goals that they've been delaying. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about the top 5 things that make us more prone to feeling overwhelmed and behind in life, and some things that you can do today that are going to help decrease your overwhelm and also help you make progress towards your goals. So let's jump right in. What often can happen when we're feeling overwhelmed is that we find ourselves stuck in the thinking, planning stage, and we never move to the point where we're actually working towards our goals. The number one thing that makes us more prone to feeling behind in life and just more overwhelmed in general is comparison. Comparison to others on social media or even to your peers on LinkedIn. And this is mostly because we've been trained to reach certain milestones by a certain age. So if we find ourselves having reached that age, but we're not at that milestone, then we tend to feel like we're behind and feel just really overwhelmed. Now the question becomes, which of these milestones are actually things you really want to achieve and which aren't? So for the milestones that you wish you were at, but maybe you're not there yet or you haven't started working on yet, the first step is to really admit it to yourself. Embrace that this is something that you want and have compassion to the fact that you're not there yet. It doesn't mean that it's not going to happen, it just hasn't yet happened in that moment. Once you're really able to admit and embrace the fact that this is something you actually want, then you can make a promise to yourself. If it is within your control, you're going to start working towards it. On the other hand, what are things that we've been trained to want and consider as milestones by a certain age, but if you were really to take a step back and think about it, you might realize that you don't actually care too much about these things, but you might still be making time for it. Being honest with yourself here about the things that you don't really care too much about is going to give you the opportunity to either cut it out of your life or at least restrict the amount of time that you're giving to it. So a simple example here was I was working a 9-to-5 project management job, and I thought that's what I really wanted at that point in time because everyone around me was doing that. But when I really looked within, I noticed that I was giving the majority of my time and energy throughout the week to something that I didn't care too much about. Once I was able to admit that to myself, I honestly felt relieved, and it put me in a position where I felt super empowered because I had identified what was it that was taking up the most time and energy that I didn't feel aligned with, and then I could make a decision as to how I wanted to move forward. The next thing that has a tendency of making us feel super overwhelmed and behind in life is not setting enough boundaries. So this is something that's super uncomfortable to do, but it is necessary. It might require you to have an uncomfortable conversation or make a difficult decision, but once you're actually able to go through this difficult phase, you're going to realize that you're going to be able to start to work towards your goals and really cancel out the noise around you that are contributing to increasing your overwhelm and making you feel behind in life. So challenge yourself to choose one area of your life where you could start to practice setting boundaries. It doesn't have to be something big at all, but it's just really getting you into the habit of knowing that it's totally okay to set boundaries. If it's going to decrease your overwhelm, it's not going to consistently be bringing up feeling behind in life and getting you distracted, and instead it's helping you tune into what it is that you really want and give you the focus to start to make progress towards your goals. The next thing that makes us way more prone to feeling overwhelmed and behind in life is setting super ambitious goals, but not focusing on the day-to-day action that's going to get us to these goals. Oftentimes, a lot of us are really good at dreaming big, but when it comes to the day-to-day actions that we need to take to get us to our goals, that's where the overwhelm kicks in and makes us feel behind. The best way to decrease overwhelm and to really feel like you are working towards the things that you really want, break down your ambitious goals into much smaller goals that still feel like a stretch, but give you direction so that you at least have some outline of where it is that you want to start and what it is that you want to be doing on a day-to-day basis. Now the key here is to not get so hung up on the details, especially if it's something that you've never done before. You don't have to know everything that it is that you have to do to get you towards your goal and do it all right from the get-go. This is just going to increase overwhelm and keep us feeling behind in life instead of creating that progress that we're looking for. Work on something small every day that's going to help contribute towards these ambitious goals. The next thing that oftentimes has us feeling way more overwhelmed and behind in life, but we oftentimes don't factor in, is observations and self-awareness. Taking the time to really reflect on what is working and what isn't working. And this is super important because it's really what gives you direction in terms of what needs to change in your life. What parts of your life are causing you to not feel happy or more stressed and overwhelmed, or just in general don't feel aligned? Let's say you want to be more consistent when working towards your goals. I'm a really big believer in starting small but being consistent instead of setting these really big goals but always taking inconsistent action. Once you make that observation, you can then decide to change things. So you might decide that you need to scale back so that you can remain encouraged throughout the process, and you most likely will find in that case that your overwhelm is going to decrease. You're going to be comparing yourself much less to others, and you're not going to feel as behind in life because you are going to feel like you're making progress towards the things that really matter to you. The next thing you want to do is to really hone in on your thoughts and feelings that are tied to certain tasks or goals. We often neglect this part, but it's super important and gives us so much insight. You might want to look into things like what causes you to feel more easily distracted and not complete certain tasks. What is currently making you feel like you're taking on more than you can chew? Is there certain areas where you're feeling like you're working very hard but you're not seeing the results yet, or you're not working hard enough? Really being able to make the observations that you need are going to help give you that self-awareness and again give you that direction. And the last point that's contributing to your overwhelm and making you feel behind in life is oftentimes waiting for motivation and waiting to have all the answers. Waiting for motivation can have you waiting forever and increase those feelings of overwhelm and feeling behind. So there's two things that I want to give you here, and it's a little bit of tough love that a lot of times when I'm feeling behind or I'm comparing myself too much and feeling overwhelmed, that I wish someone can give me. The first thing is that no one's going to walk over to you right now and hand you the exact blueprint of the things that you need to do to get towards your goal. And number two is that it's totally okay if you don't have all the answers right now. Waiting to have all the answers is oftentimes what stops us from getting started and consistently making progress towards our goals. So this is why it's so important to break down your goals as best as you can into the action steps that you think you can start taking, and along the way with the observations and the self-awareness that you're gaining, it's going to continually give you the clarity on what the next step is based off of what is working and what isn't. It's also important here for you to remain encouraged, so really take the time to appreciate and recognize your progress and your achievements throughout the process, not just once you reach your goals. You get to choose to be proud from today, from a place where you've made the decision to start and you're going to start to take action every day to work towards your goals. This is really going to help you not give up during the process of working towards your goals, and overall just make the process so much more fun and less overwhelming. And lastly, what can really help you get into that mindset where you're more open to experimenting things that might be uncomfortable or challenging is to put yourself in these positions on a more regular basis. So challenge yourself to choosing one or a few things a week that you could do that are outside of your comfort zone to give you that confidence that you are someone that can do these things and embrace the growth that you're going to get from that. I hope you enjoyed this video and it gave you some ideas of what makes us more prone to being overwhelmed and feeling behind in life, but also what is in our control that can help decrease those feelings of overwhelm and help us continue to make progress towards our goals. Like always, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to catch you in the next video.